Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. All right, it's the same protocol here. I'm going to read the Sanskrit, and since you're at the top of the screen here, so we'll let you read first the purport,
Okay.
and then you're next after that, Alan, because you're the only two. You consider yourself lucky. You're the only two people interested in Krishna consciousness in the entire city of Pittsburgh. That's not true, but
I don't think so.
but anyway, it's an exclusive club. Text 58. Much chitta sarvadorgani mat prasadat tarisisi atachetvam ahankaran nashisyasi vinangsyasi. Translation or synonyms. Mat of me, chitta, being in consciousness, sarva, all, durgani, impediments, mat prasadat, by my mercy, tarisyasi, you will overcome, ata, but chet, if tvam you, ahankarat, by false ego, nashro, siasi, do not hear, vinangsyasi, you will be lost. Translation. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Go ahead, Zoe.
A person in full Krishna consciousness is not unduly anxious about executing the duties of his existence. The foolish cannot understand this great freedom from all anxiety. For one who acts in Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna becomes the most intimate friend. He always looks after his friend's comfort, and he gives himself to his friend who is so devotedly engaged, working 24 hours a day to please the Lord. Therefore, no one should be carried away by the false ego of the bodily concept of life. One should not falsely think himself independent of the laws of material nature or free to act. He is already under strict material laws, but as soon as he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is liberated, free from the material perplexities. One should note very carefully that one who is not active in Krishna consciousness is losing himself in the material whirlpool and the ocean of birth and death. No conditioned soul actually knows what it is to be done and what it is not to be done, but a person who acts in Krishna consciousness is free to act because everything is prompted by Krishna from within and confirmed by the spiritual master.
Yeah, I love that last line. You're free to act because it's prompted from within. If you churn the instructions of the spiritual master in your mind, you always know what Krishna is saying within. And then if you want to confirm that, just ask the spiritual master without or read the books. And then you're free to act because then you know what to do and what not to do. Otherwise, we have no idea. We're just like babies lost in a snowstorm, you know. Text 59. Yadhankaramashritya na yotyai timanyase mityaisya yavayasyashte prakritis tvam niyokshati. Translation. Yet, if ahankaram of false ego ashritya, taking shelter, na yotsye, I shall not fight, iti thus manyase, you think, mityaisha, this is all false, vyavasaye, determination, te, your prakriti, material nature, tvam, you, niyoksyati, will engage. Translation. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you'll be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare. Go ahead, Al.
Arjun was a military man and born of the nature of the, what's that word?
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya.
Kshat.
Therefore,
pronounced Kshat, S-C-H, like Shat. Kshatriya.
Kshatriya. Therefore, his natural duty was to fight. But due to false ego, he was fearing that by killing his teacher, grandfather, and friends, he would incur sinful reactions. Actually, he was considering himself master of his actions, as if he were directing the good and bad results of such work. He forgot that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was present there, instructing him to fight. That is the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul. The Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny
Ascertain.
as what's that word?
Ascertain.
Oh, ascertain his destinies as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take action from the Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that will keep one safe under all circumstances.
Yeah, I was just talking to this lady in Uber. She was a Christian, and she, I said, if you think, we're talking about young people, and I was saying that young people nowadays, it makes me sound old when I say young people nowadays. Those damn kids. Well, they know more than anything. They know more than their parents, and
Oh yeah.
thing is, if you think you know more than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that means you have a pretty huge ego,
Yep.
because Krishna always has a better idea. And so you can't neglect the order of the Supreme Lord or the order of Spiritual Master, who is just acting on behalf of God. They always have a better idea. And if you think you have a better idea, then you should check yourself, because you're pretty puffed up. Text 60. Swabhavajena konteya nirpada svena karmana kartum ne chasiyan mohat karisyasya vasopitat. Synonym. Swabhavajena, born of your own nature, konteya, O son of Kunti, nirbada, conditioned, svena, by your own karmana activities, kartum, to do, not, ichasi, you like, yet that which, mohat, by illusion, karisyasi, you will do, avasha, involuntarily, api, even, tat, that. Translation. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. Go ahead, Zoe.
If one refuses to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then he is compelled to act by the modes in which he is situated. Everyone is under the spell of a particular combination of the modes of nature and is acting in that way. But anyone who voluntarily engages himself under the direction of the Supreme Lord becomes glorious.
Text 61. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridaya sharjonatisati brahmanyam sarvabhutani yantarudrani maya. Synonyms. Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, sarvabhutanam, all living entities, hridaya, in the location of the heart. Arjuna, O Arjuna, tistati, resides, brahmayam, causing to travel, sarvabhutani, all living entities, yantra, on a machine, arudani, being placed, mayaya, under the spell of material energy. Translation. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. Go ahead, Al.
Arjun was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual was not all in all, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all activities. Therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by the super soul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the super soul. As soon as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speeded motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car, though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse.
Text 62. Tameva sharanam gacha sarvabhava bhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim stanam prapsyasi sasratam. Synonyms: tam, unto him; eva, certainly; sharanam gacha, surrender; sarvabhavena, in all respects; Bharat, O son of Bharat; tat prasadat, by his grace; param, transcendental; shantim, peace; Shtanam, the abode; prapsyasi, you will get; shashvatam, eternal. Translation: O sign of Bharat, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Okay, Zoe, you can read the first paragraph, and Alan can read the second one.
A living entity should therefore surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart, and that will relieve him from all kinds of miseries of this material existence. By such surrender, not only will one be released from all his miseries in this life, but at the end he will reach the Supreme God. The transcendental world is described in the Vedic literature as Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. Since all of creation is the kingdom of God, everything material is actually spiritual, but Paramam Padam specifically refers to the eternal abode, which is called the spiritual sky, or Vakunta.
Yeah. Vi means
In the
without, and
15th
Kunta means anxiety. Go ahead, Al.
In the 15th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, it is stated,
Sarvasicham Radhisanavista.
thank you, the Lord is seated in everyone's heart. So this recommendation that one should surrender unto the super soul sitting with means that one should surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna has already been accepted by Arjuna as the Supreme. He was accepted in the 10th chapter as, I'll try,
Param Brahma,
Param.
Param Dhamma.
Arjuna has accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the supreme abode of all living entities, not only because of his personal experience, but also because of the evidence of great authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa.
Vyas. Vyasadeva wrote all
Vyasa.
the Vedas. Vyasadeva. He wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam and all the Puranas and all the Upanishads and the Mahabharata, and he wrote down the Bhagavad-gītā too. Text Mahabharata within the Bhagavad-gītā is within the Mahabharata. Text 63. Iti te janam akyatam guyad taram maya vishmim saitad aseshena yate chasi tatagaru akuru. Translation: Iti, thus; te, unto you; jnanam, knowledge; akyatam, described; guyat, then confidential; guyam taram, still more confidential; maya, by me; vishrimya, deliberating; etat, on this; ashashena, fully; yata, as; ichasi, you like; tata, that; kuru, perform. Translation: Thus I've explained to you knowledge, still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. Go ahead, Zoe. You can read the whole thing, I guess.
The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahma Bhuta. One who is in the Brahma Bhuta condition is joyful. He never laments, nor does he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Krishna also disclosed his knowledge of the Supersoul. This is also Brahman knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. Here the words Yathakasai Tata Kuru, as you like, you may act, indicate that God does not interfere with the little independence of the living entity. In Bhagavad-gītā, the Lord has explained in all respects how one can elevate his living condition. The best advice imparted to Arjuna is to surrender unto the Supersoul seated within his heart. By right discrimination, one should agree to act according to the order of the Supersoul. That will help one become situated constantly in Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of human life. Arjuna is being directly ordered by the personality of Godhead to fight. Surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in the best interest of the living entities. It is not for the interest of the Supreme. Before surrendering, one is free to deliberate on this subject as far as the intelligence goes. That is the best way to accept the instruction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such instruction comes also through the spiritual master, the bona fide representative of Krishna.
Yeah, I have the license plate on the front of my car. It says, and the mirror, just like it says an ambulance and a mirror image, so that people will in front of you will see ambulance if the ambulance is behind you. I have a thing that's similar to the one that they had in World War II in Britain. It had, like carry on or whatever. But this one says, shut up and obey God.
That's pretty good.
And I actually have a t-shirt like that. It's also a mirror image in the front. So when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, I know what to do.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I forget all the time. Text 64, Sarva Guyatman Mam Bhuya Srinu Me Paramam Vacha. Ishto si me dridamiti tato vakshyami te hitam. Synonyms: Sarva Guya Tamam, the most confidential of all. Bhuya, again, Srinu, just here, me, from me. Paramam, the supreme. Vachas, instructions. Ishta asi, you are dear, me, to me. Dridam, very. Iti, thus. Tata, therefore. Vakshyami, I am speaking te, for your. Hitam, benefit. Translation: because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Go ahead, Al.
The Lord has given Arjuna knowledge that is confidential, knowledge of Brahman, and still more confidential, knowledge of the Supersoul with everyone's heart, and now he is giving the most confidential part of knowledge. Just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the end of the 9th chapter, he said, Mana, just always think of me. The same instruction is repeated here to stress the essence of the teachings of Bhagavad-gītā. This essence is not understood by a common man, but by one who is actually very dear to Krishna, a pure devotee of Krishna. This is the most important instruction in all Vedic literatures. What Krishna is saying in this connection is the most most essential part of knowledge, and it should be carried out not only by Arjuna, but by all living entities.
Text 65. Okay, yeah, this is also a repeat from the other verse where it says, always think of me. The other one is Manmana Bad Mad Bhakta Madiji Mam Namaskaru. It starts out the same, but it's a little different at the end. But this one is Manmana Bad Bhakta Madiji Mam Namaskaru. Mamavasya Si Satyam Te Pratijani Priyosi Me. Mat Mana, thinking of me, Bhava, just become Mat Bhakta, my devotee, Mat Yaji, my worshipper, Mam, unto me, Namaskaru, offer your obeisances, Mam, unto me, Eva, certainly, Ashyasi, you will come, Satyam, truly, Te, to you, Pratijani, I promise, Priya, dear, Asi, you are, me, to me. Translation: always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are my very dear friend. Go ahead, Zoe. You can read the first one, or Al can read the second one.
Okay. The most confidential part of knowledge is that one should become a pure devotee of Krishna and always think of him and act for him. One should not become an official meditator. Life should be so molded that one will always have the chance to think of Krishna. One should always act in such a way that all of his daily activities are in connection with Krishna. He should arrange his life in such a way that throughout the 24 hours he cannot but think of Krishna. And the Lord's promise is that anyone who is in such pure Krishna consciousness will certainly return to the abode of Krishna, where he will be engaged in the association of Krishna face to face. The most confidential part of knowledge is spoken to Arjuna because he is the dear friend of Krishna. Everyone who follows the path of Arjuna can become a dear friend to Krishna and obtain the same perfection as Arjuna.
Okay, yeah.
These words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute, the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead, Krishna. One should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi-forms as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Vahara, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration on the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's.
Okay, this is the quintessential verse of the conclusion of the Bhagavad-gītā now. This is text 66, 1866. Every single verse is leading up to this one. Sarvadharman parityajya mamikam sharanam vraja ham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami ma shucha. Sarvadharman, all varieties of religion, parityajya, abandoning, mam, unto me, ekam, only, sharanam, first surrender, vraja, go. Aham, I, tvam, you, sarva, all, papebhyo, from sinful reactions, mokshayashyami, will deliver, ma, do not, shucha, worry. Translation: abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Okay, we're going to take turns reading. This is a long purport here. So Zoe, you can read the first one, Alan the second one. I'll read the third one because it's mostly Sanskrit. We'll just take turns like that.
Got it. The Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion, knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Supersoul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad-gītā, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him.
Go ahead, Al.
In the 17th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of the Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubt, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him.
Yeah, I like this. After everything Krishna explained, he said, okay, just forget everything I told you. Just surrender to me. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in Hari Bhakti Vilas 11,676. Anukulasya sankalpa pratukalyasya varjanam. Rakshasyatiti vishvaso gopritve varnam tata atma nikshepa karpanye sadvida sharanagati. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept the religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position and social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep his body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation, the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. Thus, one can make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. Go ahead, Zoe.
One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the supersoul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad-gītā. Karma yogis, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists, but one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words used here, shuka, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless.
I think we might be able to finish the whole Bhagavad-gītā this hour. So here, we got 9 minutes, a little bit more than 9 minutes. So let's just try to get through this. Text 67, idam te natpakasikaya navaktaya kadachana, nacharu shrushave vachyam nachamam yobivasya suyuti. Synonyms, idam this, te, by you, na, never, atapaksakaya, to one who is not austere, na, never, abhaktaya, to one who is not a devotee, kadachana, at any time, not, never, cha, also, ashushrusave, to one who is not engaged in devotional service, vachyam, to be spoken, not, never, cha, also, mam, toward me, ya, anyone who abhasyati, is envious. Translation. This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. Go ahead, Al.
For people who have not undergone the austerities of the religious process, who have never attempted devotional service in Krishna consciousness, who have not attended a pure devotee, and especially those who are conscious of Krishna only as a historical personality or who are envious of the greatness of Krishna, should not be told this most confidential part of knowledge. It is, however, sometimes found that even demoniac people are envious of Krishna, worshiping Krishna in a different way, take to the profession of explaining Bhagavad-gītā in a different way to make business. But anyone who desires actually to understand Krishna must avoid such commentaries on Bhagavad-gītā. Actually, the purpose of Bhagavad-gītā is not understandable to those who are sensuous. Even if one is not sensuous, but is strictly following the disciplines enjoined in the Vedic scripture, If he is not a devotee, he also cannot understand Krishna. And even when one poses himself as a devotee of Krishna, but is not engaged in Krishna's conscious activities, but he also cannot understand Krishna. There are many people who envy Krishna because he has explained in Bhagavad-gītā that he is the supreme and that nothing is above him or equal to him. There are many people who are envious of Krishna, such people who should not be told of Bhagavad-gītā, for they cannot understand. This is not possibly of faithless people understanding Bhagavad-gītā and Krishna without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee. One should not try to comment upon Bhagavad-gītā.
Okay, I'm just going to wrap it up here because we have 10 more verses left, and those are important verses too. So we'll continue this next week. But these are like these are the essential verses from the Bhagavad-gītā, especially the one about surrender. So I was just wondering if anybody, either of you have any questions or comments about some of the things that were covered here.
Now, does the talak mean that it's basically a representation of you putting the mark on your face, on your forehead, to represent Krishna?
Tilak is like, it just represents your body as a temple of Vishnu.
Okay.
Tilak is like, put it on in 12 places actually on your body. If you're doing it correctly, you do it on the right hand, on your forehead. That's, you know, the way most people do it when they're out. Devotees of Brahmins, they hold on a second. They put it on 12 places, like on your right shoulder, your left shoulder. There's 12 names of Narayan that you chant when you place a tilak on each part of the body. And there's these names, the 12 names of Vishnu. And so it's kind of a good meditation in the morning, going to, after you take a shower, you know, you go into, before you go into the temple room, you put on the 12 marks of tilak in order to remind everyone that the body, remind yourself that the body is a temple of Krishna. Everyone has Krishna in their heart. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, Krishna, Prabhupada said when a devotee shined up and he's shaved up and he's got tilak on, it looks like it's coming from Vaikuntha. Looks like they're coming from the spiritual world. They're so bright and, you know, they look so nice.
So saranam is surrender. So I may take that like what I'm getting from the from this is mostly about it has to do with surrender to Krishna, the Supreme Lord.
Yeah, it just cut to the chase, you know, that, you know, there's so many different instructions, so many methods of purifying the mind and heart, and also so many methods of jnana yoga and karma yoga, working for Krishna, and jnana yoga, trying to philosophically understand who Krishna is. But if you just surrender to his instructions, that'll like, it'll save you from so much time, because anything, even jnana yoga and karma yoga, if it doesn't have any bhakti yoga within it, then it's just a waste of time, and it doesn't really please Krishna. And it's not, it doesn't, you can't reach the goal, which is, you know, to have a relationship with Krishna. Sharanagati means surrender. So there's three different things, or three principles. Sharanagati, there's you know, understanding your relationship with Krishna, and then developing activities based on that relationship, and then finally become purified to the point where through that relationship you develop love for Krishna. And that's the goal of life. Prema Pamarto Mahan. Prema means love of God. So that is the ultimate goal of life. That's what Lord Chaitanya said. And that is the goal of all of these instructions. But it starts with surrender. That's like the Bhagavad-gītā is the Krishna consciousness 101. You know, it starts with surrender, and then the Bhagavatam leaves off from the Bhagavatam. I think we'll probably start with the Bhagavatam after we get done with this. And that is actually starting the process after your surrender. Then you can understand, you know, start talking about the devotee, the activities of Krishna and the devotee's relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavad-gītā was spoken by Krishna. The Bhagavatam was spoken about Krishna. It has all the pastimes of all the great devotees and kings and Krishna's pastimes itself in the 10th canto. But you have to do it one step at a time and go through the entire Bhagavatam. There's 17,000 verses in the Bhagavatam. So we're going to start with that in a couple of weeks, I think.
What was the one? Oh gosh, I mean, it's been a few weeks since I've been, because I haven't had my car, but the last someone was mentioning, the last speaker who was there, was it 3 weeks ago? He was talking about a book, and it was not Bhagavad. He was saying, no, as opposed to the Bhagavatam, which is all the like the big voluminous.
Are you talking about the Nectar book?
Yeah, Alan, that's
Nectar of
it.
Devotion. There's a Nectar of Devotion.
Nectar of
There's a Nectar of
Devotion, that's the
Instruction.
one.
The Nectar of Devotion is like a little bit more advanced, and that has to do with Krishna's rasa pastimes. It's like a breakdown of all these things. And then the Nectar of Instruction. I mean, we could start with a Nectar of Instruction too, because that's pretty basic too. But anyway, we got less than a minute left. Unless there's any other questions, I would like to thank you again for attending.
Yeah,
And we'll
thank
see you next
Thanks,
time. I hope
Alan.
you have to get your car back. So
Oh God.
so sorry that everything has happened to
Sorry
you.
about your car.
Yeah, I
Soon
mean,
as
it's
you
this lady I brought back from this her work, and I was going home. She says she's moving out of Pittsburgh. She can't stand to live here anymore.
What?
It's just so freaking dangerous.